Hey guys, some of you asked for a video on how to increase the resistance with your training bands. So I'm going to run through that with you, but before I do that, I just wanted to give you a brief explanation of how to be using your bands to make sure you're really getting the most out of them. Let's take a look. So one of the most common things that I'm seeing with people using their band work is they're using the band to resist the exercise, but they're not considering the direction of force. So what we need to do is ensure that the band's stretch is working against the movement that we're trying to produce. So a good example of that would be a banded press. So from here, I'm pushing up and the band's trying to pull me down. So that's an example of a good movement. One that I see going a lot out there is a fly. Here, the movement of the band is trying to pull my arms in and not down, which is what it needs to be doing in order to resist my horizontal flexion in my shoulders there. So what I need to be doing is dropping onto a single arm, depending on your setup. From here now, as I pull across, I probably need to be there a little bit more again for the direction. As I pull across, the band is looking to pull me backwards. So now I've got adequate resistance into my pecs to make sure that I'm actually firing those up adequately, and the band is resisting that. There's another example that I'll show you with a bicep curl, that if I was to go for a bicep curl here, basically what's happening is the force is on the outside of my hand. Now the action of the bicep is to curl round, so the band there is assisting that supination part of the movement. So another example of making sure you're using the bands appropriately is if I switch that now, the band is trying to pull my wrist in and my arms down. So now as I curl, I'm getting a much better contraction through the bicep. So again, the direction of force is working to my favour rather than assisting or having no action on the movement at all. So make sure your direction of force is good, and let me show you now how to make sure the resistance is incrementally increasing as you progress through the exercises. Let's take a look. The most important thing to remember, no matter what the exercise, is that the less bands you're using to stretch, the more resistance you're going to get. So if I've got a long strap, that's easier, and if I have a short strap, then that's harder. So the easiest option would be to take hold of just the one side of the strap. So from there, we're going to go towards the bottom of the band and only on one side. And from there, as I discussed, you can move up incrementally to a harder resistance on one strap with a shorter strap. Taking that harder now, we can go back to the bottom, but now with double straps. So we're working with more resistance, and again, the shorter we make that strap, the more resistance we're going to get. We can add more bands in. I'm going to use a different exercise to demo that, and I'll show you that now. So from the single strap to the double strap, moving up the band to make the band shorter, you've got double with one, single with the other. From there, I can move that up to double with both. Again, I can make the handle shorter and have more resistance. And what I can also do with an exercise like this, if I go back to my double straps, what I can also do, if you look at my feet, is I can actually, making sure the band in the middle of my feet stays slack, so I'm not just stretching the bands without actually affecting the handle length. If I actually make the handle length shorter with my feet, I've still got double straps on both, the green and the yellow, but I've got more resistance because I've got shorter straps by taking my feet wider. One last way of increasing the resistance on your band is to tie knots in them. Make sure the knot's in the middle so that you've got equal resistance on both sides of the band. Mine's probably not quite in the middle. So if you're doing certain exercises like pressing movements, so if you're going for like an incline press, a decline press, or just straight across, then tying knots in your band can become quite helpful. So obviously no knot in the band easier, knotting in the bands makes the band shorter and therefore increases resistance. Hope that video was helpful for you guys. If you've got any questions or you want any other video requests or tutorial requests, hit me up with a comment down below or follow me on Instagram. My username is tamsharp_pt and you can chat to me on there and see what I'm getting up to. Stay well guys, stay safe, and I'll speak to you soon.